Storytelling is the most powerful way of putting ideas into the world today. Robert McKee. Throughout time, the telling and receiving of stories has become a universal tool that has allowed society to delve into differing human experiences and allow changing contexts to gain new perceptions of themselves. The power of storytelling for individuals and the collective are effectively explored in Pavel Perez's 2011 novel Past the Shallows and Hiro Murai's 2018 TV series Atlanta episode Teddy Perkins, where both texts representations of childhood abuse and man's self-destructive tendencies highlight the paradoxical nature of the human experience which shapes one's behavior. In Past the Shallows and Teddy Perkins, both composers create resonance within responders by traumatic stories of childhood abuse, granting us a greater awareness of ourselves and our self-destructive tendencies. Perez utilizes the desolate Tasmanian landscape as a form of exploring her experiences and mimics her character's struggle. And it was cloudy and overcast, but light was still reflecting off the water. Perez utilizes pathetic fallacy to intensify the overwhelming sadness of the boys' individual stories and loss of childhood. This is followed by her characterization of Harry and Miles' father, devoid of emotion and epitomized through his drink beam, symbolic of his buried past and his self-destructive tendencies which shape his behavior towards the boys. In the quote shown, Perez heightens a human experience of hurt through visceral imagery and the repetition of burning, jolting the reader to compare their experiences alongside the boys. The individual stories of Miles and Harry's childhood abuse informs the reader's perspective and achieves resonance through its relationship with the wider collective human experience of pain and sadness. Paralleling the collective experiences of Miles and Harry in the quasi-horror Teddy Perkins, Murai depicts a similarly dark tale of childhood abuse. During Teddy's recount of his childhood story, Murai utilizes eerie low-key lighting to create a fearful atmosphere to draw in the audience and mimic the frightening nature of Teddy's childhood. Additionally, the repeated use of wide-angle shots evokes a deep feeling of distance and insignificance, further granting the viewer a perspective into the feeling of his childhood and the weight of emotional abuse. Such experiences mirror that of Perez's protagonist, who, like Teddy, have their experiences and behaviors colored by childhood pain. Undoubtedly, both Murai and Parrott excel in sharing stories of sadness and more directly childhood abuse, as they allow responders to gain awareness of themselves and our collective human experiences. Individual stories of childhood sadness, both composers explore the conflicting nature of man's paradoxical and self-destructive tendencies, exploring collective inconsistencies and igniting new perceptions and ideas. Parrott uses the ocean as a metaphor to portray the paradox of familiarity and fear, furthering the representation of their tumultuous father as an unpredictable body, which simultaneously grants freedom yet enslaves them. Harry's conflicting characterization of the ocean as positive, as seen in the connotations of the lexical chain clean and golden and crisp, is then subverted with an ending of fear. While Harry looks to the ocean as a body that allows self-exploration and a shift in his perspective, Murai makes clear the dark nature of their childhood through the mise-en-scene of the house, evoking connotations of stories of slavery through its prison-like structure, which draws parallels between the oppressed experiences of Teddy and African-American slaves. However, this darkness is contrasted by Teddy's museum room, dedicated to his father and appreciation towards him, as seen in the aphorism, "Great things come from great pain." The repetition of great highlights the paradoxical nature of his human experience, where he and his brother became great piano players at the cost of happiness. This is further reinforced through the non-diegetic soundtrack of Stevie Wonder's Evil, played in the beginning and the end of the episode in a parallel to Perez's description of the ocean in the prologue and epilogue of Past the Shallows. The song's mournful subject, deliberately complicated by the use of a major key, serves as a reference to the mixed and paradoxical story of Teddy, self-destructively characterized by both love and pain, and explored through stories for generations as it links to our own perceptions of the world. Through an exploration of Past the Shallows and Teddy Perkins, the paradoxical self-destructive tendencies of man, alongside notions of childhood pain, allow both mediums to effectively delve into the collective human experience, thus allowing us to gain new perceptions of ourselves through the process of telling and receiving of stories.